And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Earlier today, I was playing a game of chess and I was thinking, man, you could really relate Pokemon investing and flipping into just a game of chess. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you think about chess, you got a board, you got all your pieces, but you're playing against somebody, and every one of those pieces, depending on the moves you make, there's so many little nuances to chess. And chess is a lot of thinking, a couple steps ahead, but it just takes somebody to do one crazy move in front of you, and you might have to change your entire way you're playing your game instantly if they did a move you were not expecting. Or even if somebody does a move that doesn't benefit them, it's still going to change your entire game. And I was thinking about that as Pokemon, collecting and flipping, and I was like, and investing. I'm like, in this hobby, there are so many moves being made at one time, and if you know Pokemon YouTubers, one of the videos people love to go to is, I let the community invest 10,000, or I let the community invest $1,000 of my money, or I invested $1,000 of my money. Let's see how these plays work out. And in theory, those videos they do work because it's like, okay, it's a pretty simple premise. You buy $1,000 worth of cards or product, and you just sit on them and see how they play out in 6 months, a year. But in reality, that video is damn near impossible because $1,000 in this hobby, especially if you're doing the investing route, if you're doing the flipping route, that money gets washed and repeated and rinsed so many times that $1,000, you can never just make an entire series, showing all your plays. And the problem is too is, in a game of chess, the games I like to play are the blitz games. So like super fast, you have a clock and you got 5 minutes, 3 minutes on the clock. You have to go super fast. But there's other games of chess that just go on for what seems like an eternity. And every move you make, you stop and you think about it. And you have nothing but time when it's an untimed game. And then those games, they seem to just drag on forever. And that's a good analogy for Pokemon, because some of the plays you're making in Pokemon is that rapid. As fast as you can move the pieces, you're doing it. And then other ones, you sit back, you're looking at the board, and you're going, I wonder where I should move this piece next. And, both those styles, they have their benefits, and they also have like the negative aspects to it. That super rapid fire, you're more likely to make mistakes during that game, opposed to the game where you're sitting back, thinking about every move you're doing. And I think about that as Pokemon because this is the problem. When people ask about Pokemon, especially when it comes to investing and the flipping aspect, is I think everybody wants simple answers. Everybody wants the, just tell me what product to buy. Tell me what card to buy. Just tell me now, and I'll go do that play. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. In Pokemon, you have to just spread out to so many different things. And the problem is in Pokemon is some of the plays you're going to do, some of the returns you're going to see are damn near instant, especially if you're doing like first to market, race to the bottom graded plays. You're playing the literal game of hot potato, or in chess, that ultimate 3 minutes blitz game where you're just going back and forth as fast as you possibly can. So for those single plays, and it's just absolute race to the bottom, you want to get those cards on the market as fast as you possibly can, because in a way those cards become, and I hate to say it, they just become toxic assets, meaning the longer you hold on to those cards, the less and less gains you're going to get instantly, because the market, the more demand that comes on, the more and more those prices of those cards are going to drop. A great example of cards like that is Scarlet and Violet 001 promos. First to market, did absolutely fantastic. And even today, there is still a little bit of margin left on that play, but nothing even in a relative nothing close to what that play was right at the beginning. Or even like free cards, special livery Charizard, first tens to the market, the crazy premiums those sold for. Don't ever forget the first special livery Charizards in PSA 10s sold for greater than $1,000. Yes, you heard that number correct. $1,000 for the first PSA 10s to hit the market of, again, a free card. A card that if you spent $20 on PokemonCenter.com, you got for absolutely nothing. Just something to think about. But no, and then you have those other plays in this hobby, which it seems like those plays just could take forever. And the problem is too is in this hobby, you have to be manifesting plays at all points. Like you have to become well rounded, and this is something I challenge everybody out there watching this is to get out of your comfort zone. And what do I mean by that? Get out of your comfort zone right now is a lot of people's comfort zones, I feel, are the things that they have been doing and they are successful at, but maybe they're not optimizing that. And why they may not be optimizing, and there might be other plays out there, there might be other tiers out there, there might be other cards out there or sets or products that they have, pretty good fundamentals and they understand those products, but they've just become so comfortable at what they're doing, they're afraid to branch out. Like one of those plays out there that does exist, which I am just starting to do this play. I have 2 submissions out right now to Beckett trying to go black label hunting. Black label hunting is something that I was never comfortable even trying to do. I never even wanted to set up a Beckett account. I was always put off from Beckett just trying to find the pop report on the website. But I understood like there is plays to be made in Beckett. And that Beckett black label hunt. And I had to get out of my comfort zone and just start sending a couple cards out there. Smaller submissions, meaning less than 50 cards per submission, and just kind of testing the water and mass grading certain cards. And the cards I decided to mass grade were very low dollar amount cards, meaning cards that I source for sub $4 with $19 or $17 for grading at Beckett, be all into those cards for like 23 plus selling fees and everything. Like to have break even points for some of this at like $30, I'm like, I'm just going to dip my toe in the water, just test it out, because to be honest with you, that Beckett play is something I'm not comfortable with. And the reason why I wasn't comfortable with that play, and maybe you can say I'm still not super comfortable with that play, is because while, yes, I know what the Beckett Black Label Premium brings. It's very clear. You can look at any card. I mentioned the SV001 promo. You can look at what that card sells at in a Black Label, greater than $200, opposed to what that card sells for in a PSA 10, between $50 and $60. There's a huge drastic difference there, and especially that Black Label still grades about a 20% Black Label rate, opposed to where the PSA 10 gem rate is about 90%, meaning in a vacuum, if you sent 10 of those cards to PSA, 9 of those 10s are going to come back PSA Gem Mint 10. If you had that same 100 cards and you sent them to Beckett, about 20 of those are going to come back Black Labels in a vacuum. And that 20%, when you add, okay, that's still a lot of money. Like, you have to make these hard decisions when it comes to cards like this. And my fear is, well, what if I get punished and send a bunch of cards to Beckett and none of them come back Black Labels? They don't even come back gold label pristine 10s. They all come back 9 5s and 9s. And the problem with Beckett is really you got to hope that those 9s and 9 5s are break evens. You don't look at those as cards you expect to make money on. You expect to lose a little or break even on the 9s and 9 5s. And then hopefully the premiums you're going to make on those 10s are going to exponentially outpace all your losses, and then you'll still make money. So that's why I was always been nervous doing that play, but I had to get out of my comfort zone. It's something that I recognized that I had to do. So I did it. I'm still waiting on some of these returns to come back to me. I got another return being sent to me in the mail as we speak. When those cards get to me, I'm going to send those away too. And it's tough. We're living in this tough time too, where the same way as I challenge you to get out of your comfort zone, it's the same thing I have to do. Like, continue to get out of your comfort zone, but don't go so far out of your comfort zone where you now start to make huge mistakes or mistakes that you can't recover from. I'll promise you right now, in this hobby, one of the things I am doing, I'm not even trying to do, I just know I am doing it, is I am pushing the envelope for a lot of the things I do, is really going to what I call just the make or break point, meaning the upside benefit is great, but the downside crash and burn is just as equally great. And I'm at the point in this hobby where I'm just trying to push the envelope on every single play I do, because while a lot of people say the riches are in the niches in this hobby, also you can say the riches are in the highest riches are in the highest risk plays as well too. And it gets tough, you know. And I'll give you an example. So, shout out to Mr. Jim from Z&G Emporium. So James emailed me today. My pack rating play is in QA2, meaning we are, if you guys don't know what that is, that's PSA is 7 steps. That's stage, or sorry, they have 8 steps. 8 is shipping. This is stage 7, meaning those cards have already been graded. They've already been encapsulated. They've already been reviewed once for like, like problems with the grades or whatever. And then QA2 is supposed to be where they're checking the actual physical slabs and making sure there's not dust or anything in there, which I don't really know if QA2 is an actual step. I feel like it's not. I feel like it's just Fugazi. It's not a real thing. But anyways, stage 8 is shipping. Stage 8 is also when you get your grades back. So when I tell you I am pushing that envelope and I'm going right to the make or break, I'm telling you, the upside risk of a play like that is so amazing. The downside risk of that is equally as bad. So everything that is as good about that play is equally as bad. And the thing that is going to be the make or break for that is the PSA 10 rate. I need, on a low end, 30% gem mint 10 rate. So that means 3 out of every 10 cards I send, I need a 10. And this play will work. If it gets high, if I could get a 40% 10 rate, this play is grand slam, run the bases, run the base again, just keep running it. Don't stop until you pass out and puke, because that's how many times you get to run the bases if you get like a PSA 10 rate and 40% for graded packs. And then the rest, 9s or 8s, you break even on those. It's all about the 10s. It's always been about the 10s. And shout out to Mr. Dan Ketchum Collectibles. Dan puts it the most elegant way possible. If you want to be successful investing in Pokemon, or you want to be successful in flipping in Pokemon, you just got to do one simple thing. Grade 10s. It's that easy. It's not always that easy, but it is true. When you peel it back and you unravel this entire hobby and you look at it from the most core thing, if you're doing that flip and invest and play, it's simple. Just grade 10s. Easier said than done, but we'll see. The pack grade and play will be the thing that I will talk about it, whether the play works out well or if the play crashes and burns. If it's a break even, I hope it's not a break even. I think it has crazy upside potential. I still think that. A lot of people out there don't agree with me. Sometimes I wake up and I don't agree with myself, but I just know in my hearts of hearts that that will be a good play. I know I've been talking about it on a lot of my recent lives. It's because if you know this channel by now, if you know the conversations we have are very much in the now. And this play is as active as in the now play as I'm getting. It's taken months to manifest. We're talking that original submission got sent away in March of 2023. So March, April, May, June, July. Here we are in August. It's been 6 months in the making. $4,000+ in graded plays. Hundreds of dollars worth of packs, and we'll see what happens. It will be a good case study. And I promise you, if this case study works out for me, we're letting it ride. If you ever seen that South Park episode where they go to win the town back and they're at the roulette table to put all their money on a number, the number hits, and then they're like, wait a second. If this number hits again, how much money do we make? And then they just let it ride again. And then Stan asks his dad, he's like, Dad, why are you doing this again? You just won all the money. He's like, Stan, you don't know anything about gambling. It's going to be the same way. We're just going to let it ride. We're going to roll it back into another graded card submission or graded pack submission. We'll see. Maybe this is a bad word. What's the Greek god? Is it Icarus? Is Icarus the one that flew too close to the sun? Icarus, he made wings out of, so Icarus figured out the ability to fly, and he made wings out of wax. But he flew too close to the sun because he was not a true god. And because he flew too close to that sun, his wings began to melt. And when those wings began to melt, he was no longer able to fly. So he only had one place to go. Crash and burn right to earth. And that might be me. I might be the Icarus in this situation. I got my wax wings on. I'm flying. I'm soaring. And I think I'm equal to the gods, but I'm not a god. I just have wax wings, and as I fly closer and closer to the sun, slowly my wings began to just start to drip and drip, just like a candle dripped, until all that wax eventually loses all its integrity, And there I go. Free falling. Free falling back to earth. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be a play. But it's just all that is one chess piece on the board. Go to see what we're going to be able to do. We're going to bring in a big circle. We're going to bring it back to the topic of this video. And that is just one play. And it takes months to play out. And I challenge everybody, don't just stop with one thing. Don't just stop with two things. Constantly just have little things moving, in and out. And yes, while that play might be the one that is unfolding before our eyes as we speak, there are other plays out there that I won't see returns on for months. Some of them potentially for years. Some of those examples, for plays that I think won't really come to in the future, it could be years, is some of the sealed product plays I'm doing. There are some sealed booster boxes that I'm picking up that I'm just some of these plays might not play out for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And a lot of that's going to be super dependent. It's going to be super dependent on things that are completely out of things that I control. And that big thing that I do not control is I do not control two things. One, how much Pokemon prints of something, and if Pokemon does reprints of some things. That's the most dangerous thing about modern investment. If anybody tells you anything different, they're lying. The most dangerous thing to any modern investment is just reprints. Pokemon has the ability to go back and reprint anything they want in reality, but there's always limits to what they're actually going to go back. That limit is usually going to be things that are in standard, things that are not going to be, just reprinted because there's no playability aspect of that. That's what this game is at the end of the day. It is a playability aspect, but that is the danger. I start to speculate on things that I don't believe are getting reprints, but we've seen it play out with Ultra Prism. Ultra Prism was getting very close to coming out of rotation, then all of a sudden, boom, Ultra Prism got a reprint. Same thing happened with Roaring Skies. Roaring Skies, nobody thought reprints were going to happen. People speculated heavy, and then poof, reprint. And the thing is all those prices recovered in time. The problem is you're going to see whatever gains you have, those gains that are just on paper. They're not realized gains. They're just, like I said, gains on paper. They all just go poof overnight, instantly evaporate. Those gains cease to exist. And the problem is now the money that you had tied up in that product, that money can now just become stagnant for a few years. But that is just one little chess piece on the board. And then I'm still doing that race to the bottom play. I love the race to the bottom play. I think there was a lot of cards in certain sets, and actually I'll talk about it. I made videos talking about certain cards, like the Ionos from Paldea Evolved. When we saw, first of all, we saw a lot of people really kind of shit on Scarlet and Violet base a little bit, but Paldea Evolved, it was the same way. A lot of people kind of looked at Paldea Evolved and said, Paldea Evolved is not a good set, and they were talking about all the crashes, and I came out and I made videos and I said, listen, if you don't like what's going on right now, you're not going to be doing the flipping of this, because there was all the chase cards for a while were sub $100, but the prices those cards are selling for, especially in PSA 10s, the prices had crazy premiums, and some of those cards still to this day still have crazy premiums to them. And so there was a lot of Scarlet and Violet base. There was a lot of Paldea Evolved right at release where singles were at their cheapest. At a lot of those plays really were great entry points for a lot of those things. And I know personally a lot of people really tried their best to corner the market on some cards. Modern cards, it's damn near impossible at this point to corner the market on a modern play, but people are able to gain decent positions in these cards, and I wouldn't even say slowly trickling out these cards into the market, but they're just doing big listings, selling these cards at great premiums, and I know they're doing very well. And that's the thing too, is that's just another piece on this chessboard. But the problem is too, and this could be the toughest part, is when you have all those pieces on the chessboard, there's no way to play a game of chess and not lose any pieces. Eventually, you are going to have to start to sacrifice pieces for that greater good. And that greater good is just as simple as winning the game of chess. So that is another hard thing for a lot of people to do, is to start so that you have all your moves out there, and the moves and the plays you're doing that aren't working, sometimes you got to do that sacrifice play and either just let it go, move on. But the problem is don't just sacrifice it for no reason. Always sacrifice your pieces in chess to set up other pieces or to set up your position for later in the game. That's all it really comes down to in Pokemon is be very methodical with everything you're doing. At least have a future plan. And I've talked about this before, and I know I'm going to repeat this a little bit, but I've asked people in the past things that they're doing in Pokemon, cards that they're buying. And one of the questions I always ask people, and it goes back to things I've talked about, is losing collection identity. But one of the things I ask people all the time is, well, why did you buy that card? Why are you going after this certain card? And more times than not, people have a great answer for that. They've thought through this play. They know. But there's been a handful of times in the history of this hobby for myself where I've asked that simple question, why did you buy this card? Why did you buy this certain piece? And they just say, I don't know. It's like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, you liked it? And they're like, no, not really. And I'm like, so did you like the artwork? Do you like the character? What was it about that card? And they're just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, I liked the price. Like, it was selling for a good price. And I was just like, based off of what? What is a good price? Just based off of market comps? And, like, little things like this, meaning they bought something. They don't have any kind of emotional investment for it. They don't have any... If they are doing it as a collection piece, they don't care about it. If they're doing it as a flipping piece, they don't see a future of that card. They haven't played out. They haven't speculated on that card. Just these very weird things that happen. And I think a lot of that, why did you buy that card? I think, sadly, it defines a lot of, like, the whatnot buyers, or even, shout out to Rusty TCA Gaming and Dan Catchmall Collectibles. One of their most successful items that they sell are just mystery PSA 7s or PSA 8s and higher, meaning they're random listings. They're just, if you buy this listing, they will send you a PSA 7 or higher card. No rhyme, no reason. There will be no guaranteed card. It's just you buy that listing and they'll send you a card. And be honest with you, you ask those guys, those are a few of their most successful listings, and the listings that they sell the highest quantity of. And it has no rhyme or reason in reality. But that's the thing. The large majority of this hobby are just I want a slab, I want a card, I don't know what I want. I'm just going to let somebody else dictate to me what they're going to send me. And it's crazy. It's crazy when I think we are too far, like, down the rabbit hole. We are in the niches of the niches. So the thought to just hand somebody money and just say, yeah, just send me something, I think that can be a little, like, dicey, a little scary. But, like, there's a reason why those are the most successful listings. But going back to the whole Whatnot thing, the reason why I mentioned Whatnot is because one of the things that Whatnot is most successful at, or at least the sellers on Whatnot, is that mystery bag game, Buy this mystery bag and see what your cards are and the crazy prices people pay. But if you guys have not seen the news, so today, Whatnot released like a press release, or I don't know if it was a tweet or whatever, on their website. You go on the whatnot.com website and read it. But come August 28th, which is about a week from today, Whatnot is no longer allowing sellers to play any sort of mystery games or any sort of games where people are paying to enter into, like, bounties, mystery bags, any kind of gambling, all that. Whatnot is more or less removing that, not allowing sellers to do that, which I think is going to have huge impacts on the Whatnot platform when it comes from a Pokemon TCG aspect, because now in reality, the only thing people could really sell are just packs. And I challenge you again. I'm challenging you a lot in this video, but I want you to think about who are the people that are probably most upset about this change. Is it the buyer who's most upset that these gambling, guess that energy, mystery bags, bounties, duck races, all that crap? Is it the buyer that's upset that that Whatnot is removing this option, or is it the seller who's upset? And I would say probably with all certainty, it's the seller that's more upset, because the seller is upset that that game is moving because they know that that's how they make their most money. And for the buyer, that is not a good thing. When the seller is upset that Whatnot is removing a feature because they are going to make so much less money. And the reason why they're going to make so much less money is because that dumb buyer who is playing these crazy gambling games, they're just not going to be able to do it anymore. There's going to be no way to like take advantage of that or to exploit this. And that's the problem. I wish that all the people on Whatnot, all the buyers on Whatnot were educated, were well-rounded in this hobby, did understand like the nuances, understand what they want, stuff like this. But I just always feared that that was not the buyer. The buyer was just I want to buy mystery bags. I'm going to overpay for everything. I don't know enough about this hobby. I don't care to learn the nuances, but I don't believe that you can grow this hobby. I don't believe you can grow this hobby into the future if people come in and that's the mindset they have, where they don't ever want to learn anything, whether it's even modern or vintage or semi-vintage. They never care about the cards. They never care about the sets. They just want that gambling, that thrill aspect of it. They don't care about it because, and then they're only tied to this hobby is the dollar amount. And listen, I've been on Whatnot and I've looked at these streams and I always was curious what people were asking. And a lot of the people that were in these mystery bag streams, one of the things they would do is they would pay crazy amounts of money for some CGC 8.5 or some CGC 9 modern field grading play that didn't hit the 10, and they would spend $25, $35 to obtain that card. And the very first question they would ask is, what is that card worth? It's like, oh no, what are you doing? what are you doing as the buyer, you know? But like, that's a problem. Those people in their game of chess that they're playing, they're just throwing pieces out there. And, you know, if you're playing against them, you're constantly changing your game too, because you're building your entire strategy of your chess game because you think you're playing against somebody who is just as good at chess as you. And you are fortifying, you know, you're doing all the things that it takes, but the other person in front of you is just like sacrificing pieces left and right. They're leaving pieces open. They're making poor mistakes. And instead of doing your normal game where it's very methodical, very thought out, you are now doing high risk stuff because you just want to see if you could keep catching this person you're playing against, because the mistakes they're making, you're just like, all right, well, I don't think they're very good at it. So things that maybe are more obvious to other people, I'm just going to start making these moves. So then what you do is you start pushing all your pieces out to go after this person, because now you just said, screw it. I'm throwing all the things that I was planning on doing out the window, and I'm just going to push against this guy because I don't think he knows how to play the game. But then the next thing you know is all your pieces have just gone into attack mode, hardcore. Instead of all the things you normally were doing, which was protecting yourself for later in the game, you are now super vulnerable. And if that person realizes what he was doing, or if that one simple mistake he made was just that, a simple mistake, but he is actually good at that game, you have now put yourself in the most vulnerable position on the board because you are just going after his stupidity. But in reality, he wasn't. He just made one poor mistake. So now, next thing you know is a game that should have been for you extremely easy now becomes this extremely, extremely hard game because you are so vulnerable. All the positions you should have had are just out there. And next thing you know, you're in a battle with somebody, which you never should have been in that battle in the first place. And that could be a good analogy for this hobby too, is when you start to do that, you start to push too many pieces out there. Your defense is spread thin. You might find yourself in a poor position until eventually other people in this hobby are just going to start to like beat you up. And, you know, there's a lot of that goes on every day. All right. That was a good rant. What was the title of this? Pokemon Invest in a Flippin' Chess Game, yeah. We're going to scroll up to the top of the chat. We got Hexac said, hello. Stephen Kong, good to see you, man. Gengar Master. Patrick V said, my friend Preston invests exclusively in PSA 10 Fusion Strike Commons. What's the outlook on investing long term? Love it. Go ahead. All those are probably pop ones. Good for your friend Preston. He's got PSA pop ones of Fusion Strike Commons. I tell you what, though. Invest in long term. I get it. It's a joke. But you would laugh at the people that do the crazy pop one plays of like common reverse hollows from modern sets. I'm not doing it. There are a couple people out there that do it, but I get it. It's a meme question. Your friend Preston invested in Fusion Strike Commons. I get it. But you would be, I don't think you would actually be shocked. I think you would actually believe it when you saw the numbers. The amount of people that will pay crazy premiums for like graded commons, meaning there are people out there that actually do buy these cards. It's the same thing as like Hidden Fates. How many Hidden Fates Pikachus probably exist? 1 million. 20 million. Hell if I know. There's a lot of Hidden Fates Pikachus that exist. But you could go on eBay right now and just type in Hidden Fates Pikachu PSA 10 and you're probably going to see a sale for $25. Between $25 and $30 for a common Pikachu that is one of the most printed sets ever, one of the most printed Pikachus ever. So, it is, I get it, it's a meme question, but that is actually a play to grade just, and we always talk about it in this hobby. There's not a secret. Sometimes you just grade fan favorite Pokemon in PSA 10s. If you're able to do that one thing, grade fan favorite Pokemon into 10s, you will be able to sell them and make money. And that Pikachu is a perfect example. And it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about stuff like that. Yeah, that's a $25 card. $15 to grade it. A Hidden Fates Pikachu is what, a dime, 10 cents? So the price to grade it plus the cost of card is $15 to grade it and 10 cents for the price of card. So you're all into that card for $15 and 10 cents. You sell it for $25, free shipping, $3 to ship, $22, some eBay fees. You still made $5 on a 10-cent card. So yeah, I get it. It's a meme question, but like that's the thing too. Play like that. Or any commons, mass-produced cards. Sure, those plays exist for a reason because nobody else is doing it. And maybe there does exist 1 or 2 buyers in the entire world that are willing to buy that card. The problem is the pool of buyers for cards like that. It's not super deep. It's a very shallow pool. So, sure, you might sell like 1 or 2 for a high dollar amount. But once those only 2 buyers in the entire world evaporate, then you're just sitting on like crazy, illiquid, impossible to move cards, which I don't really even know if that Pikachu is super illiquid, but that's the thing. Gengar, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Chris, Texas, good to see you. E-Unit. Namp90, good to see you. Guys, I recommend you, do me a favor, go, I know number 1 mod in the game, Drew, is here. Drew, do me a favor. If you could link Namp90's Instagram page, give this man some follows. He's really doing some really good posts. And if you guys like good card artworks, Namp really is doing a great job of highlighting a lot of cards. And the thing he does that is one of the things I love most about, and I've talked about this on other lives, but I don't know if we've ever really linked his Instagram, but he shows cards that artists like pay homage to, and I think that is something that I really love about this hobby, is that hidden artwork in the background. And Namp's doing a really good job of highlighting that, and even doing great jobs of highlighting cards from like Obsidian Flames. I think he had like was it a Togetic he might have posted today? He's doing it really good, and I don't know what kind of camera he's using, but it's some crazy high quality. Let's see. Gengar Master says, information is power. I feel like that could be a poster. Information is power. Let's see. Booster Boys card says, glad I made it to the live. Booster Boys cards, I'm glad you made it to the live. Gengar Master said, I just picked up a ton of sealed Scarlet and Violet promos. So, are you talking Scarlet and Violet base, or are you talking Paldea Evolve with the Pikachu, or are you talking Obsidian Flames with the Charmander? But if you're talking Scarlet and Violet, that's cool, man. Scarlet and Violet, they have the two good promos. I hate two ETBs of sets. I just wish all modern expansions just had one. I just buying two ETBs of each, figuring out which promo is going to be the best. It's just a little bit more frustrating. And speaking of sealed promos, something that I probably should have talked about is the GameStop promos, the Umbreon. So if you guys didn't know, for Obsidian Flames, if you went into your local GameStop, the stamped GameStop promo was Umbreon this time around. They usually change it up, but yeah, it was Umbreon. And I went to my local GameStop, and by the time I got there, they told me they were already out of promos, and I didn't believe them. And I asked the guy behind the counter, I was like, did you just not get the promos, or did you already hand them out? He's like, well, we only got 25 of them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Because if you're looking on eBay recently, sold listings of that Umbreon GameStop promo is like $15. And in order to obtain that GameStop promo, you only had to spend, forget if it was $15 or $20, but it was more or less, again, a free card that paid for everything you were going to buy. And yeah, it's just, and then so the GameStop has the Umbreon promos, and then Best Buy has the Espeon promos, but they've been damn near impossible. Like, I know some people did get lucky, but it's been a tough uphill battle with GameStops lately trying to get these promos. I don't know. GameStops are always tricky trying to get promos too, and I think GameStop is supposed to get all those promos when they get all like their Obsidian Flames product. Like that's when they're supposed to get their promos, I believe. And the fact that you can go in day of release, their shelves are stocked with Obsidian Flames, but somehow magically they got all this brand new product, but their promos were missing, and then you go the next day and the next day, and they're just magically missing till eventually you go one day, you go every single day, they never have that promo until on the fourth day they go, oh yeah, we're all out of those promos. It's like, what do you mean you're all out of those promos? You never had those promos to begin with. And then they're like, because I don't know. I think a lot of those GameStop employees honestly are taking those promos because they're worth $15 a piece. So I don't want to think that's the case, but I think that's probably the reality of the fact. But I could be wrong. I think there's definitely some honest GameStop employees out there that are handing out those promos like they should. People are talking about the Black Label hunts in the chat, yeah. The Gengar Master says, I wonder what is the highest Black Label pop Pokemon card. I bet it's the Champions Path Zard promo. I don't know. That's a great question. I want to say it might be Scarlet and Violet 001 promos have to be knocking on the door for highest graded Black Star promo. Highest graded Beckett Black Label. Beckett Black Label Premium has been weird, continues to be weird, probably will always be weird, but even going back to like Burning Shadows, that Burning Shadows Zard, and that first one that hit the Black Label, and that crazy premium that people paid for that Burning Shadows Zard, because what were they doing? They were just speculating that there was just not going to be a lot of those Zards ever graded in Black Label. And if you've ever opened up Burning Shadows, I can understand why people might believe that, because Burning Shadows had some of the most absolute dog shit, like print quality, not just print quality, just the way Burning Shadow cards were cut up. They were literally cut up by Edward Scissorhands, like butchered every single one out of pack, damage. So I get it, but at the end of the day, that Burning Shadows Charizard, a lot of them ended up getting that Black Label. And don't get me wrong, that Black Label Premium is still strong, but from the highs, I want to say a Burning Shadows Charizard in a Black Label is probably right around, I guess it would probably depend on the day, depending on the buyer. So I'm going to give a huge range, probably between like $3,000 and $6,000. That's a very expensive card. I'm not saying it's a cheap card by any sense of the imagination, but the first sale of that card, I believe, was $17,000. So that's a long time, to have bought that card at release in a Black Label, spend 17 G's, and fast forward closer to, well, let's say about 6 years later. So 6 years later, that card is worth $11,000 less than what you paid for. Yeah, that's not a good win. So I've never understood the black label, even then when people were paying that crazy black label premium. But I will be happy to hopefully one day be a seller of those black labels. I may never be the buyer of that black label. The only black label I could ever even think about potentially buying would be a base set Raichu in a black label. Japanese, obviously not English, because there are no English ones. But for the Japanese base set Raichu, I would consider it in a black label just because not a big Japanese collector, but just to have the best artwork of all of Pokemon, have it in a black label. I feel like that is actually like an attainable black label, but we'll see. Probably won't do that. That's probably really stupid to do that. Just get the 10. Son of a Merc says, it's crazy to me a 10 is supposed to be perfect card and a 9 is in general $5 more than grading price when the rest of the scale exists 1 through 10. Yeah. Listen, 9s are funny, especially when you look at prices of 9s, especially when you look at prices of 1s. There are examples of cards that do exist. If you hit a PSA 1, which is a PR 1, which is the absolute worst possible condition card you can have, a card that you might as well take outside, play street hockey with that card, put it in your bicycle tires, damn near destroy that card, send it away to the PSA, grade it a 1. There are some cards that exist where the PSA 1 actually sells for greater than the 9. Yes, you heard that correct. Doesn't make any sense, nor should it make any sense, but that is sadly the reality of the world we live in. But now, that 1 sells for greater than the 9, but the 2 is unsellable. Yep, you heard that right. You think the 2 would still have a premium? 2 has 0 premium. Nobody wants a 2. It's 1 or bust. Like 2s, for most cards, field grading plays, meaning you graded a good 2, that is a field grading play because you were going for that PR1 and you didn't get it. It was a field play. I just recently did it. I have a submission at PSA where I cracked a good 2 because it was a field grading play because I was trying to get that PSA 1. So what I do? Cracked it out, threw it on the ground, kind of just scraped it up a little bit more, put it back in a penny sleeve, throw it in a card saver 1, send it back to PSA, trying to get the 1. I know it's stupid. We live in an irrational world. Irrational. All the plays we're doing, irrational. At the end of the day, this is a channel that spends hours upon hours, a week, a month, year, talking about cardboard. Listen, I know we're in it. You're in the niches. You made it this far. You made it 42 minutes and 45 seconds into a random guy talking to a camera about Pokemon. You're in it. Whether you want to be in it, you're in it. Sorry, you made it this far. It's too late now. You might as well hit that like button. You might as well hit that subscribe button. The amount of people that are not subscribed to this channel watching these videos is a preposterous amount of people. You guys like to watch it, but you don't like to subscribe. That's okay. I'll still be here for you. I still appreciate all you guys. At least giving me your time. That's all that matters. And the thing that is more valuable than anything, the thing that is more valuable than any card in this hobby, the thing that is more valuable than any dollar amount in this entire hobby is your time. And remember that. Your time is your most valuable asset you have, hands down. So, let's see. Let's see. We got Thrifty TCG in the chat. Good to see you, Thrifty. I'm hoping, Thrifty, let me know down in the chat below. Thrifty, will you be at Charlotte CollectCon? Because, God, I hope you're going to be. Thrifty is one of the good ones. Thrifty helped hook me up with the Hartford event, and when I got the Cosmic Eclipse Pikachu signed, she was the one that was able to help me, hook me up. When is the signings going to be? What do I need to do? All the little nuances that I wasn't familiar with, because I had never been to a signing event before that, and how to guarantee a spot, all this stuff. Thrifty is a good one, man. She helped hook me up big time with that. Let's see. The Gengar Master says, does Beckett grade booster packs? Haha, imagine a black label booster pack. Oh, you know what? It would sell for a premium. It's a joke, I get it, but it's a serious comment. If you had a Beckett black label graded pack, it would sell for greater than a PSA 10 graded pack, which is, again, ridiculous, arbitrary color schemes, grades, numbers. It just is the facts. It would sell. I'm telling you. I mean this. I mean this truthfully. If you had a Beckett Black Label graded pack, it would sell for greater than a PSA 10 graded pack. Even though those packs are probably identical at this point, especially with PSA's grading scale does seem to have changed a little bit, and they are becoming a lot harsher when it comes to those graded packs. But no, you are correct. The Beckett Black Label graded pack would sell for a premium. That's a world we live in. It's not a world that I'm proud of, but it's a world. Let's see. Let's see. Beefy Tacos said the key to flipping slabs is grading cards with a large multiplier. 5x or higher is the goal. Anything less isn't worth the gamble and the time. I don't know. I would say that there's a lot of cards that I'm definitely grading that the multiples aren't even close to 5x. So for me, it is worth my time, and I feel like I do this a lot. But again, shout out to Dan Getchemall Collectibles. He made another great video today talking about just, if you were to make $100,000 in this hobby, how would you get to it? And he talks about time. And a lot of those low multiplier plays, is decent margin there. Not 5x margins, but there's still decent margins. And the time involved to do some of those plays are so minimal. Really, the time could just be as fast as you clicking an auction, clicking buy it now, getting those cards in the mail, you opening up that box, put them into Penny Slavers, into Card Saver ones, and then adding a line item to a PSA submission of 25 cards. It can be as simple as that, and then getting those cards back, listing multiple quantity auctions. Very minimal time, so you might not make a 5x on a play like that, but you might make a 1x or 2x, or depending on the card, if it's worth it, only like a 0.5x, but it could still be worth it when you take into account your time. So 5x that's an aggressive a dollar amount. Let's see. Zachary said, PK, the conspiracy theorists are saying we're headed for another lockdown. In the event that we could be seeing an upcoming sets be short printed like later Sun and Moon sets thought. Dude, I don't think lockdowns are possible right now. Lockdowns aren't possible for multiple reasons, like coming into a new presidential debates are happening right now. There's going to be a new presidential election. Any president that tries to institute lockdowns right now is absolutely crazy. We saw what happened with lockdowns last time. I'm just going to take lockdowns off the table, as I don't even think that is a possibility. So, I just don't foresee that ever happening again. And the long-running effects that the lockdowns have had on the economy and everything, and with the Fed trying to control interest rates and the interest rates going crazy, and the housing market and all the people trying to go in and all the people that lost their jobs and companies that are still trying to recover, and then this new work from home model that some companies were able to really easily transition into for a work from home, and then other companies are still struggling even to this day. And so I'm just gonna say I don't think a lockdown is in the works or is even possible. Hackzack said, people get blind that cheap means shit. XY sets were 80 a pop and sat on shelves, and now 680 plus. That's also a great point, I think that is a point too. And what Hackzack, I think what you're trying to say is people a lot of times, they just don't want stuff until they're expensive. This is something I've said on this channel countless times. I'm telling you. If stuff is easily accessible, easily sourceable, not selling for a lot of money, even though that card might have all the fundamentals in the world, beautiful artworks, everything that is needed for that card to be doing well in the long term, as long as it's cheap, people will not want it until that card starts to run away, because people are always trying to catch that rocket ship. They're never there at the beginning. So I could see how that is a true statement. Let's see. Punch Jump Kick says, I'm enjoying the break from Obsidian Flames. Yeah. Leaf Green Goblin said, one of the pitfalls of value collecting is potentially buying something because you like the price more than the card. That is also a problem with value collecting. And yeah, that's a good point. I try to stay away from things that I don't like. I like to go after stuff that I think has good fundamentals. So when I'm buying stuff and people say, well, why did you buy it? At least I could give a reason. I could say, well, I think it's undervalued because of, reason A, reason B, reason C. Because of these three reasons, I think this card is undervalued, so I'm buying it to do a speculative play. That's what I always try to do, is have all my things that I'm doing, all my buys, have a reasonality behind it. I don't like to just say the answer of, I just bought it because. I hate that answer. Northwoods TCG said 50% of the people in this hobby are gambling addicted and will leave everything to chance for the rush of the mystery pull. That is, I don't like arbitrary numbers like 50%, but I bet you it's a high percent. Girls Like My Hair says, what do you think about the Chinese Marnie collection box? Do you think it will go up or down? So it seems like we're going to have two reprints of that Marnie collection box. We're supposed to have a reprint in September. We're supposed to have a reprint in December. So if both those reprint dates end up coming true, and that is true, we'll probably see downturn or stagnation in that product for a decent amount of time. I think a lot of those Marnie plays are maybe graded plays. We'll see though. It's a little hard. That's why when I was purchasing those boxes, I was purchasing those at dollar amounts that I literally made a video saying how I was uncomfortable with the dollar amounts of those the dollar amounts that I was paying for those boxes. So Tom B says, a lot of my buyers for my junk slabs are Whatnot streamers because they throw them in bounties and shit. Kind of sucks for my sales, but overall he's very happy. Yeah, it's crazy that if you put a card on eBay for $20, it might sit on your eBay store forever. Just that card just is frozen. It just will never sell because it's an unwanted, unsellable card. The second you take that same slab, put it in a package, draw a big question mark, turn it into a mystery pack, then it sells. Couldn't sell it for the life of you. Put a question mark, it's good. Oh, no, now we need it. What's in the box? What's in the box? Tell me what's in the box. I need to know what's in the box. That's what happens. Like, then people want that slab. This is the world we live in. I don't know. It's true. Let's see. Oh no, skip to the bottom. Chat's on fire tonight. Appreciate you guys. All you guys that are hopping in. I know this was a later stream than I normally do. Let's see. So the Gengar Master says, sometimes it's just the Pokemon above the art, and if a Pokemon with amazing art, just a double whammy. Yeah, that's and don't underestimate artists' ability to art. That is a very good quote as well. So Eric says, I think it's just attributed to the platform. It's a gambling service for trading cards. People who buy from Whatnot aren't in the hobby for the long run. I like to think that's not true. Or maybe not. What I think and what I hope are probably two different things. Maybe I should say I hope that's not true. I do hope that the people that are in this hobby on those platforms spending this type of money are in Pokemon for the long term. And I hope that's the case. And I think the only way those guys stick around in the hobby for the long term is if they don't make those poor mistakes all the time. And I've talked about this on videos in the past. Like, if the craziness which was 2020, 2021, 2022, here we are in 2023 and still one of the hottest markets we've ever seen in the history of this hobby. Sure, maybe you can make arguments there's been slowdowns here and there because people will point to like modern product, things that have just back to a norm, but the rest of this hobby, you look at crazy prices for graded cards, Japanese singles, Japanese promos, Japanese stamp boxes, Worlds promos, English chase cards, sets still having cards that are greater than $100 in price at release. Like, those are all indicators of the strongest hobby in the history of this collecting hobby. Like, what Worlds promos are doing today, opposed to last year, opposed to obviously there were shutdowns since like 2018, and that's a huge indicator of there's still ton of like money in this hobby, ton of buying demand. But yeah, like you can look at the poor indicators, which is modern products sitting on the shelf right now, which is just normal. But the problem is, I think a lot of people got into this hobby after what used to be normal stopped being normal. So then the new norm became at release. All booster boxes of all modern products at release skyrocket. They're all 20 to 40% greater than you paid for in 3 to 6 months. That was the new norm. That wasn't the actual norm, though. So, yeah. Let's see. Leaf Green Goblin says, I don't know, guys. I see what you're saying, but there's 1,000 Pokemon. There's definitely cool cards to collect that not everyone has their eyes on. Oh, hell yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's 1,000 different Pokemon, but I think the numbers are like there's 50,000 unique English Pokemon cards. 50,000 cards is a lot of cards. That is a lot of unique artworks. So, yeah. Let's see. Wade G says, honestly, the Pokemon side of Whatnot will probably die off slowly because of controversially. Most likely it will fall apart altogether naturally within a year. I think that might be a aggressive timeline. I think it's aggressive because of how well Whatnot is just as a company. I don't think TCG will ever just go the way of the dodo on that platform. It is sad, though, because Whatnot, that was like one of Whatnot's definitely bread and butters. And you could probably make the argument that it's still one of their bread and butters for that platform. And it's really one of the things that help build that platform. It's sad that the Whatnot management and the Whatnot customer support and the Whatnot like teams, whoever the people are that are supposed to be able to go in and like figure out if people are scamming, like those people, you have to put a lot of blame on Whatnot themselves, I would feel, because they allowed that platform to get to the point where it was. You know, shout out to Josh, the old card shop. Josh was one of the very, very early sellers on Whatnot. And in order to become a seller on Whatnot, they had to vest all their sellers. Josh talks about his first time ever on Whatnot. He called up the owner. Yes, you heard that right. The owner of Whatnot was the person that vested Josh, asked him questions like, do you have distribution? Because at the time, they wouldn't even allow people on the platform who didn't have distribution. And you had to talk to the owner. You had to like be a good person. You had to like say all the right things. They were vesting people hardcore back then. Till eventually, they just wanted more and more sellers on that platform until eventually their standards just got less and less until eventually pretty much anyone who wanted to could just start selling cards on that platform. And that entire service just started going downhill faster and faster and faster till eventually like more and more scams started happening, more and more people were taken advantage of. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. A good Whatnot scammer is, whether you want to hear this or not, this is the truth. A good Whatnot scammer will never get caught. That is just the truth. A good Whatnot scammer will be able to scam from now until forever and never get caught. It's just it just takes somebody to mess up, but that was a problem. Whatnot allowed the platform to just like go into this disarray, and I don't know if it was that ultimate money grab, but hopefully, I'm looking at what eBay's doing. I'm hoping eBay doesn't make a lot of the same mistakes that Whatnot did. It does appear that eBay is being a little bit more close-knit on the sellers they're allowing on that platform. It just doesn't, but we'll see. You know, does eBay start to eventually, do we start to see duck races on eBay? Do we start to see like gambling streams? Do we start to see mystery, guess that energy, mystery slabs? Do we start to see this stuff eventually trickle on to eBay? I like to think that it won't happen, but it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Like, mistakes can definitely be made from now until forever. So just hoping eBay has learned from all the mistakes that Whatnot has done, and eBay will not make the same mistakes. Joseph said, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I've been around scammers my whole life, saying that I wouldn't buy anything from fly-by-night distribution. I'm into Pokemon cards for my kids, and it's fun for his family. Yeah. So if you're from Brooklyn, New York, you've been to the school of hard knocks for sure, my friend. Uh, Patrick Y says, "Hey, after today's talk, I think we can't rule even the meme plays out of the playbook. Meme plays are a play. There's a lot of plays. This is a crazy hobby. This is just the reality of the world we are living in. There are so many things that are happening at all points in this hobby, at all times. Things that you think are impossible happen. The impossible is possible in Pokemon. I don't know how it is, but it is. Sometimes you just you just got to go with it, you know? We spend a lot of time like really breaking down like the nuances of this hobby, but at the end of the day, sometimes it just boils down to is just let this hobby. Just like let artists art, let the hobby cuz sometimes that's all you got to do. Let the hobby. Quote it. Uh So Gengar Master says he ain't lying. $25 for a reverse hollow, or so reverse Hidden Fates Pika. Haha. Told you. It doesn't make sense. Without reverse hollow Pikachu, $25. I didn't pull that number out my ass. Like, these are real numbers. These are real sales. This is the world we live in. There's a buyer out there. I don't know who that buyer is, but they exist. So Beefy Taco says, my largest investment is the Evolution Premium Collection promos. Grading them from raw into tens is a 10x profit. You just have to be patient and find good copies. That is a good point. Those promos do fetch great premiums. I don't know if it's 10x though. I feel like 10x might be high, but yeah, they're definitely not easy to source. That was such a great product though. I know it doesn't really get lumped in with like the entire Evolving Skies product line, but I feel like it has to, right? Like they are not the same product, but they definitely feel like an Evolving Skies product hardcore. Son of a Merc says, is the happy hour too risque for a YouTube stream? Nah, I don't. Yeah, yes. Happy hour chat is too risque for a YouTube stream because if you're gonna go on a YouTube stream, you leave yourself vulnerable for all your guests. Like that's one of the things. Like you can't just bring people on channels all the time and just not vest them at all. They could turn their camera on. They could be naked. They could be saying some derogatory terms. They could be saying some racial terms. They could be doing some really, really bad stuff. And YouTube won't care that you didn't know who this person was. They won't care that they just hopped onto your stream. They will care that it's on your channel, and then your channel will get punished for that. So, yeah, I would say the happy hour chat is too risque for a YouTube stream just because you wouldn't be able to vest everybody. Yeah, so in the chat, if you guys scroll up, Drew posted a link to Nap90's Instagram. Definitely recommend you guys checking out. It is a good one. He does really good work. He puts a lot of time, a lot of effort, really thought out, good artworks. Like he's a great resource too. I always say this, like if you guys do have artwork questions, artist questions, you always look for the people in this hobby that are good resources, and he's a great resource for a lot of that stuff. Let's see. Northwoods TCG said, thanks for the live PK. Great content as always. Appreciate that, Northwoods. So, Pokey Snipe says, I saw a post. Somebody had a couple pages full of Best Buy Espeon promos. It's sad, too, because if you have a couple pages of Espeon promos, those weren't obtained legally or legitly. Those probably an employee just took them right out the back door and sold them as a lot to somebody, but so Gengar Master said, I went to 3 different GameStops and got 4 Umbreon promos. One was out. One dude gave me one, and the GameStop and the mall dude gave him 3. He was happy he got that. Still need to get the Best Buy Espeon. So that's awesome that one guy gave you 3, man. That's you're very lucky. Especially when those are $15 promos. That's like getting $60 worth of free promos. Especially if you grade those babies in a 10. Giovanni's Pikachu says, Namp90, love the Instagram page. Yeah, he's got a great page. Pokeball says, I only open sleeve boosters of Burning Shadows. Leroy Hart says, always grade yourself, but in person if possible, and grade yourself. Oh, wait. Or he says, always grade yourself, but buy in person. I don't think I understand the comment. People said supply and demand, brother. People want the ones. People do want the ones. You think I'm lying, but it's true. People want PSA ones. Uh, uh, so Leaf Green Goblin says, are the promos exclusive art or just stamps? Just stamps. There's no exclusive art to these. It just says, literally, the stamp is just GameStop. Card Palace says, see you in Charlotte, PK. Looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys in Charlotte. I think Charlotte's going to be the big one. Danny said, do you think the person who buys that PSA 1 should have the right to know if it was altered? Oh, that is a great question. I don't even know how to answer. Danny, you gave me the stumper of all questions. If somebody is to buy a PSA 1, should they know it was altered? So meaning you put more damage into that one to grade it. Interesting. I like it. I don't know. That's a brain twister for sure. Let's see. So Joseph says, again, I'm very new to this hobby. Question, should I send all my Vs or better to PSA? No. I would not send Vs to PSA. If you're curious, like, if you have this is the simplest thing you got to do. If you have a card that you are questioning whether or not it's worth it to send the PSA, all you got to do, just look at eBay comps. Type in the eBay, see if there's any of those cards on the market, see if anybody's selling those cards graded already, and then see sold listings. Are people actually buying those cards? If you don't see those cards being sold, if you don't see like crazy premium, like a V card, V's are tough. Like if you grade a 10, there will definitely be somebody out there to buy that V. I've sold V's of like the Umbreon V from Evolving Skies for $25+. Like great margin. That's a $2-3 card. Send it away for 15, sell it for 25 with $4 shipping. Still sold for $29 all in when you include shipping. That card was worth it, but the second that card doesn't hit a 10 and hits a 9, you're not going to make any money. You're probably going to lose money. So if you're super new to this hobby and you're not familiar with PSA grading skills too, you might not understand that some of your cards are not 10 quality. So for your very first submissions, if you're new to this hobby, I would recommend selling and sending your best cards you have, meaning your hyper rares, your secret rares, those type of cards, your cards that even if they do hit 9s, you're still going to make a little bit of money. And then when you do get comfortable with grading scales and you do send out enough plays and you're like, okay, now I know what a 9 looks like. Now I know what a 10 looks like. Now you can start to take a little bit more of those risky plays and try to play the 10 route. So to answer your question, because you're a little bit new to this hobby, don't send any Vs yet. Send only cards that are like higher dollar amount cards to begin with. And assuming you're new to this hobby, so I'm going to guess that a lot of your cards are modern cards, a lot of your cards are pack fresh, and I'm going to assume that when you open those packs, you didn't just butcher those cards right away. You opened them out of packs, you penny sleeved them, you put them in top loaders, you put them in card saver ones. You did something when you removed those cards. You didn't damage them when you're handling them. So you probably have a decent amount of cards. Do that. Get familiar with grading scales before you start to do these high risk plays. I hope that helps though. So Big Mon Legend said, first stream for me, new to the hobby after 15 years away. I can't keep up with these chase cards and new sets getting released constantly. I just want to collect cards I like and have unique artworks. If you like unique cards, just do simple searches, man. Go into Google and just type in real, like, I don't know, you like Chansey? Type in Chansey Pokemon card and just go to Google Images and just scroll down and look at all the different Chansey cards. Just name a Pokemon and then Pokemon card. Super broad searches. and then find the sets, find the cards you like. Just start doing it that way, you know. And if you do like unique artworks, spend a little time. I mean, there's a lot of sets. There's over 100 expansions, but spend 5 minutes a day for the next couple days and just look at a set a day. Say, okay, today I'm gonna look at Obsidian Flames, and then eventually you work your way, and then you're like, okay, till eventually you get to Rebel Clash. So eventually it's Cosmic Eclipse, and just keep working your way back till then you get to Team Up, then you get the Sun and Moon base, till eventually you're into your XYs, and then you start to look at, okay, oh, Phantom Forces, that's cool, Flashfire, that's cool, until you move into the black and whites, and you're saying, oh, okay, oh, that's cool. Look at all the specialty sets in between. Look at your Dragon Vaults. Look at your Dragon Majesties. Look at your Shining Legend. Look at your Shining Fates. Look at your Hidden Fates. Look at celebrations, but also look at generations. Do all the specialty sets. Even look at Double Crisis, stuff like this. Just get into that habit. And then keep going back until black and white, and then it's Dragons Exalted, and go before that, and then you start to look at Heart Gold Soul Silver base, and before that until you get into the Nintendos. And once you get into the Nintendos, you're going to be like, oh my god, this is so awesome. And then you're going to start to get into your like Dragon Frontiers, but more importantly Crystal Guardians, and then you're going to get before, and then you're going to get the Team Rocket Returns, but then you're going to get before the Gold Star sets, and then you're going to be in Hidden Legends. You're going to be like, Hidden Legends is freaking awesome. I love Hidden Legends. Why does everybody hate Hidden Legends? And Fire Red Leaf Green and sets like this, until eventually you're going to make your way into WotC's. You're going to be like Skyridge, Aquapolis, Expedition, until eventually you work your way all the way back to the beginning, and you finally get the base set. And every set in between. There's a lot of sets in between. There's a lot of sets. There's a lot in Pokemon. But spend 5 minutes a day. Look at every set. And just do it, man. Just look at it, and you will start to appreciate the cards so much more. And the secret rare, and then once you get into the secret rares, and then you get in, every timeline has great cards. Whether it's WotC, and you got just, your original base set with the hollows, until you get to the Neos, until you get to the later Neos, and then you make it to like Neo Destiny, and you see like tons of shining cards. Till eventually Aquapolis, you got crystals. Until eventually like Ruby Sapphire, and you get into EXs. Until eventually you get to Team Rocket Returns and Gold Stars. Until eventually you get to Diamond and Pearl, and you get to level X's. Until eventually you get to Heart Gold Soul Silver timeline, you got Legend cards, and you got Prime cards. Until eventually you get into black and white, and then you get full art cards, and full art cards are so amazing. And even all the secret rares in between, and I guess we didn't even talk about like all the platinum sets and reimagined artworks and stuff. And even before that, and you go to like Stormfront, and you have the reimagined Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and there's just so much, until eventually you just work your way, and you realize, and you could collect with the hobby, and you could just realize that there's so much cool stuff that exists. I'm sorry, that was a tangent. I didn't mean to do that. I don't even remember what the question was. You gotta love Pokemon. You gotta love Pokemon if you're watching this type of stuff. Rhino Lot says, anybody else grab Celebration Mini Tins? Celebration Mini Tins, the sealed display, awesome display. That Celebration. All the base set starters, from base set all the way up to, I think, Gen 8 was on the... Yeah, I think it stopped. There was no Gen 9 starters. So yeah, from Gen 1 all the way to Gen 8 on that, for the starter tins for Celebrations. Dude, those tins were awesome, man. The artwork for that sealed product, awesome. Rumbum said, anyone doing Collecticon this year? I think there's a lot of people going to Long Beach. Not as many as Charlotte, though, I think. So Rhino Lot says, do you sell on eBay, PK? I found a seller. Knowledge, is that you? If you go in the description of this video below, you could click on my eBay link, and if that's the same person, maybe it's me. Let's see. Patrick V says, thoughts on snagging the 2023 World Champion promos with Pikachu? Yeah, so 2023 promos were pretty sweet this year. But the thing about those promos, they were expensive right off the rip. If you were able to source them real time in Japan, there were some people like, I think Charlie was really sourcing a lot of promos for people. I think maybe Gem Mint was sourcing a lot of promos. I know those guys were making money and stuff doing it, especially like staff promos. When it comes to these 2023 Worlds promos, like it was expensive for a lot of these staff people to get to Japan just for, airfare and room and board. Like those promos really help those guys out a lot. And the best time to buy promos like that is source them right real time on the floor at Worlds. Is it still a good buy? Probably. It's just you're going to pay such a high premium in such a short amount of time. But those will never be cards that really will retrace below what I call that floor price. And floor price, a word floor price gets thrown around, but literally floor price. Like on the floor at Worlds in Japan, I never believe those cards will get below that floor price. So, let's see. All right. I'm done. I scrolled to the bottom. Excellent. Listen, we talked for an hour and 15 minutes. It was a lot of fun. It's getting late here. I just want to hop on for like an hour, so I was able to do that. But listen, do me a favor. I don't ask you guys for a lot. Just hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I'm even going to write it in the chat. Hit the like button. Yeah. But if you guys could hit the like button, it helps me out a lot. Pushes this video out through the YouTube algorithm. And if you've made it to the end of this video and you like this sort of Pokemon rant content, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I do a lot of these lives. But as always, guys, I appreciate every single one of you guys out there. If it wasn't for you, I would not be making these videos. And as always, I'll catch you on the next video.